I'm so pleased that you brought up H.H. Hichilema, because many people sitting here would what happened in Zambia, it just probably passed us by. Maybe you can just unpack it in a very short nutshell. What happened in Zambia? Because there you had the ANC effectively getting voted out of power by a opposition leader who tried, was it 5 elections?
Yeah.
And the president of Zambia initially said he's not leaving. He says it was fixed, but he left and he's gone. And you were at the inauguration. What an amazing story. Perhaps you can just share that briefly from your perspective.
And I think, to me, one is Edgar Lungu, the former president of Zambia, and I think he must be given credit for having conceded power eventually. But what was going on in Zambia, clearly, I mean, they had a police state. My experience at the airport taught me a lot about democratic practice that had failed. In fact, when I went to go see HH at the time, he'd been locked up for simply not moving out the way of a presidential motorcade.
Just say that again. He'd been locked up?
He'd been in jail, and I was attending his preliminary trial. And literally, because as the president's motorcade was behind him on a way to a rally, he wouldn't move. And they said, "You're going to jail." And I remember speaking to his wife on the phone and listening to a story about the fact that we still don't know. They just arrived, they picked him up and put him in jail. So young people of Zambia, and that's the thing for me that was beautiful to see. I mean, you'd swear COVID doesn't exist in Zambia. They had a super event. So if anyone shakes my hand at the end of this, I have the Lusaka variant, if you like. I've got many variants, but as I sat at that stadium, it was like thousands of young people who took it upon themselves to say, Bali, who they call him affectionately, who's Hakainde Hichilema, we're going to vote for him. And they turned out on the day, despite police intimidation, voted. The elections were declared, and I think what I experienced at the stadium was Zambia's 94 moment. The line that I found unbelievable in the speech of the president on the day was he said, "This is not a transfer of power, but it's people taking back their power." Which I thought was a very helpful device to tell people that if he doesn't do his job, they will have him removed also. So I find the Zambian story very inspiring because, to your point, this is post-Kenneth Kaunda's country. This is post-Edgar Lungu. The PFP, I think, is Lungu's party. Now we're down to the UPND, which was founded, literally, I think it's 2009 it was founded. So this is a fairly new organization, 5 elections on, and HH took over the leadership. He is educated internationally. He's a businessman, so he has a centrist view on how things should work, and he's focused on restoring Zambia for the future. And I think it's a great development for that. But even not only starting there, the beautiful thing about it is that if you were following the same story in the 60s, you'd say it was Samora Machel, Kenneth Kaunda, and then you get to Robert Mugabe, and then South Africa were last. So the wave of change often happens that way. So the Malawian election, the president there, Lazarus Chakwera, also a good friend of mine, we're part of a partnership of opposition leaders in the SADC region, has just won that election after they Tipexed out ballot papers, etc. That went to court. He then had a rerun. He won. He's now the president there. Zambia's just had its change. I think actually, if Zimbabwe didn't have the fairly awful elections they had recently, we could have seen change there, and I think that's what's next. And I think South Africa will follow likewise. So I'm much more optimistic electorally about this region more than ever before.